Live your life. Do not let one man or one woman tell you how to live your life when God gave you breath, God gave you sight and sound. Don't let them take it away. This is a fight that we need to start waking other Americans up into what is being removed from our human rights, and our freedoms, constitutional freedoms. And so I believe in that movement. I believe that people need to understand that we are a nation of laws, and laws are created through legislation practices, not through mandates. There's one specific order, it's the Emergency Powers Act, that gives them the ability, them being the politicians, in order to hold over people their handwritten mandates that are not law. And that's not going to fly anymore. We're waking up to that, and we want Americans to wake up to that, and we want the world to wake up to that. We want people to know that it's not okay for any one man to try and remove what was given to me by the great God above. And that's exactly why we're fighting. Give us back our human rights, give us back our freedoms, and obey our Constitution. That's why I'm in this. My current plans is to drive the truck and just wave and honk at many people as I can.
And you're driving all the way to D.C.?
All the way to D.C.
So, what is your plan as soon as you get to the D.C. area?
That's fluid. That's going to be changing as we see predicaments or other things move. We saw what happened to our brothers and sisters in Canada, and we're going to play it by ear to see exactly what we know what our goals are. We know that this isn't just about mandates. This isn't just about truckers. This is about every human being on the face of this planet, and that's why we're fighting.
So speaking of Canada, did you expect that something like that would happen?
Actually, no. I thought that was despicable. What Trudeau pulled with the Emergency Act that he pulled for the first time ever on Canadian citizens was, in my mind, an act of war against his own citizenship. So that was kind of unexpected on that part. But then I reflect on that, and I look at the fact that the difference between their Constitution and our Constitution is that we have a law enforcement body that they don't have. We have one recognized by our Constitution, and it's our sheriffs. They are elected officials. They don't report to any politician. They report to us. And that's the difference. Those police officers, they're legislatively controlled. They've got a mayor, a politician that they report to. And they say, jump, they ask how high. With a case of in America, we have our sheriffs. And our sheriffs will start standing by us on these unconstitutional acts and stand with us when it comes time to have our voices heard.
So I have to ask you, with everything that happened this past weekend, which is absolutely, I don't know, it's despicable, disgusting. You cannot imagine something like that would be happening here in North America, right?
Right.
So how do you feel when you are getting into the same kind of movement? Like, are you afraid something like that?
I'm not afraid.
Here?
I'm not afraid. If my brethren tries to come after me, shame on them. I have the Constitution of the United States of America on my side. I have the Declaration of Independence on my side. We will wake as many Americans up on the way to D.C. and have them on our side. And we will bring them all to D.C. and let their voices be heard as well.
Do you live here in California?
No, I live in Reno, Nevada.
In Nevada. So how much time did it take you to get here?
About 8 hours.
8 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. So let's talk about the current state of pandemic, which we're in for about like 2 years, right? So What can you share about your own personal experience? How did the pandemic affect you personally?
As a truck driver, I can tell you that it was detrimental to our way of life on the road. We stop at truck stops for our showers, for our food, for our fuel. The pandemic and the mandates that were put down closed our food supply. Yet they wanted us to continue running. So now we're having to stock food up in our trucks and eat 3-4 day old sandwiches moving across the country. Not able to go inside the truck stops. Treated like we're something stinky on the bottom of their shoes. Yet deliver our product. So that was discouraging, and it did cause me to back away and stay home more. But after 2 years of this, what was supposed to be temporary, and I've learned long ago, once government has something temporary, it becomes permanent. And that's what they're looking to achieve. They're looking to achieve control. Control masks. Control vaccine mandates. No. As you know, the 1947 Act says you need my consent. Okay, the Nuremberg Code. So don't tell me what you're going to put in my body. You let me decide. When you tell me, that means you're afraid of me. And that's what I will not have. I will not have a government that tries to run me when they run at the consent of the government. And so that's why we're here.
So let's talk about the mandates. Currently, I believe there is at least one mandate for the truck drivers who are crossing the border.
Into Canada.
Yeah. And I think on January 22nd,
that's when they enacted that.
The same mandate in the U.S. So did you, were you personally affected by this mandate?
No. I'm not bonded to drive into Canada. I own my company, but I chose to stay within the United States, so I didn't bond to go into Canada. So that didn't affect me. But the fact that they have threatened the livelihoods of other truck drivers to say that you can't go into Canada anymore, and that may be 100% of what they do. They may only go Canada and back. They're parking their truck. That's going to give more supply chain issues. There's been people that have been asking me along the way, to go off topic for a moment. What do we want to see from the people as we travel? And I tell them, I want to see civil disobedience. I want to see you take your masks off. I want to see you burn your vax cards. I want to see the businesses take their signs down from the windows. I want to see the plexiglass guards come down. And I want to see you open your businesses, your churches, your gymnasiums across the country, because they can't stop all of us. And that's what I want to see.
So what would you say about the Americans in general? Do a lot of people actually understand what's happening right now? How would you describe it?
I put a lot of blame on media. They do not properly communicate to the masses the truth. Anyone with a little bit of research capability can go out and read the sites and read the data and see the truth. But the media does not allow it to be given. So we're censored. We're considered conspiracy theorists. They can spew that all out, but in reality, we're just awake. We know what the engine is bringing. We know what bad news is, or what news is being portrayed. It's like we know that we're being portrayed as terrorists in this movement. We're red-blooded Americans. I was in the Air Force. I rose my hand. I took an oath. It didn't have an expiration date. And I said I would defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that's what I will continue to do until I'm not breathing anymore.
So do you remember any other time that was more challenging than this one?
No. This is it. This is it. If I could go back in time, I'm betting that this is the way that we felt in 1776. I'm pretty sure that I could compare it if I could go back in time.
Yeah. This is actually a very interesting comparison because today is, you know, the fact about Pluto, right?
And the 222.
Yes.
I know.
So let's say that the national state of emergency ends tomorrow. Let's just imagine it, right? What would you say from your experience should be done in order for the economy and the people to get back on track?
We first need to expose those that brought this tyranny. If we don't expose those that brought this tyranny to our doorsteps and do something about them, then it will continue again. History will repeat itself. And that's what we need to guard against. So that means we need to find the individuals that can stand up to their politicians. That means every single American. Get on the phone and call their politicians and tell them the gig is up. We don't want you anymore. We want real people that we can trust. We don't want you up there taking money from the super PACs. We don't want you up there taking advantage of situations that, like term limits in our Constitution that weren't put through. We don't want you up there for 40 years. You're not representing me when you're there that long. You're representing the interests, and they're not mine. So we want to see change at that level. We want to see those individuals be brought forth and dealt with. And if they have legal obligations to be answering to, then we want to see that too.
So speaking of the politicians, can you name at least a single senator who is, let's say, taking care of the people right now?
Far and few between, but I would say Ron Johnson is pretty close. He gets it. I think that he has a lot of genuine cause for concern. And Louis Gohmert is right there with him. And that on the top. I could probably give you another half a dozen if I sat and thought about it in a minute.
Yeah, but me, myself, I would also say Ron Johnson as the first one because I think he is the only one who actually voiced concerns about the vaccine and held a round table and everything, and no one else did that, actually.
You're the first person that's been in the media that has actually brought the fact that he had a hearing up.
Yeah.
So, and it was very moving for me to see that African-American woman who had lost her father just days before that hearing and boldly sat there in front of him and told that story.
Currently, you will be on the way to DC starting tomorrow, right? And there are a lot of people who will be watching and following the news and everything. So what would be your message? What message can you pass to all those people?
I'll go back onto it. Civil disobedience. Live your life. Do not let one man or one woman tell you how to live your life when God gave you breath, God gave you sight and sound. Don't let them take it away.